In this episode, we're going to find out where your podcast ranks globally, but not according to listen notes. For real this time. Podmaster! Have you ever sat staring at your download numbers thinking, oh my god, is this any good? Or am I just podcasting into the abyss? Raw download numbers mean nothing without context. That's exactly why we built the Podknows Podcast Global Ranking Calculator. It's no frills, but it's a no-nonsense tool that tells you exactly where your show sits in the global podcasting pecking order. I do love an alliteration when we're bringing podcast gold. First of all, let's ask why we should bother with this. Here's the deal. Most podcasters rely on listen notes or other random ranking services, but let's be honest, those numbers can feel about as solid as a house of cards in a hurricane. So that's why we decided, look, if people are going to want to find out this information, we should at least help them find out more accurate versions of that information. Our calculator at Podknows is different. First of all, if you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about when I'm saying Podknows, that's the name of our podcast marketing agency. Based in the UK, we've been going since 2020. I'm the founder of Podknows Podcasting, and it's my goal to help podcasters like you to enrich your results, to get your podcast heard, to make sure that you can attain Podmastery with your indie podcast. Along with that, we've got access to some enterprise-level tools that tell us a few little bits of extra insight that most everyday podcasters can't easily get access to. We've also used our contacts to send the odd email and get a bit of insider intelligence. So this calculator pulls real structured data from major podcast hosting platforms like Buzzsprout and Libsyn, who publish their data publicly. But then it goes a step further by finding out the missing pieces from the people that are actually at these hosts, and then it fills the blanks in with estimated rankings for the likes of Spotify for Creators and Podbean, which operate at a massive scale but don't publicly share their ranking brackets. So yes, there's an element of data science in this, or as some would call it, guesstimation. But by analysing Spotify's and Podbean's share of new episodes, we've been able to extrapolate a more accurate global picture. It's not entirely guesswork, it's an informed estimation based on real industry data. So instead of wondering where your podcast actually stands in terms of its ranking, you'll now get a better idea. So as I've previously said, we've built the rankings based on hard numbers from the two big players in the hosting world, Buzzsprout, who give us structured percentile data on downloads within the first 7 days, and Libsyn, who offer a similar breakdown over 45 days, which then helps validate those estimates. Quite a bit of number crunching. But what about Spotify for Creators and Podbean then? Well, since Spotify is the largest free podcast hosting platform, and Podbean has a significant slice of the podcasting pie, we've estimated their ranking thresholds using proportions of new episodes published. Then, by comparing these numbers to Buzzsprout and Libsyn's structured data, we've built a realistic, balanced view of the entire podcasting landscape. But enough about all this working out. That's boring. What you want to know is, what are the ranking brackets? Whereabouts do you sit in the grand scheme of things? Top 50% median podcast downloads. 28. That's how many downloads you need to still be ahead of half the podcasts out there. I'm sure that has filled you with glee. You're hearing about thousands and thousands of download numbers in order to be heard. It really isn't that deep now. 28 downloads and you can brag on being one of the top 50% podcasters. And if you have even more downloads, your ranking could be way higher. And that's the point here. That's why we created the tool. Every big show started with 0 listeners and an awkward first episode loaded with cricket noises. So this tool should hopefully give you an idea of where you need to be versus where you are now. You'll know your growth journey. No more wondering. You'll get an actual global ranking based on real data. You can set realistic goals. If you're sitting in the top 50% mark now, you'll know exactly what number you need to hit to crack the top 25. And this validates your success. If you think your podcast isn't growing because you've only had, say, 50 downloads per episode within the first 7 days, this tool's telling you otherwise. You're doing all right. Keep going. You'll get there. If you want to use the Podknows Podcast Global Ranking Calculator and then pop in your latest episode's 7-day download count to see where you truly stand within the global ranking in the podcasting universe, go to podknows.co.uk/calculator. And once you've used it, let us know in the comments on that post how you're getting on. And if blog post commenting is a little bit too 1998 for you, by all means, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify telling us where you stand. And for a bonus, let us know what your strategy is going to be to improve that number, if you think that's what needs to happen. So again, go check out the calculator at podknows.co.uk/calculator. Best of luck. If you enjoyed this episode, don't be shy. Click follow, leave us a review, and tell your mates. And if you want to get my insights sent to you once a week in your inbox, go sign up for the newsletter at podmastery.co/newsletter.
The Podmaster is a Podknows production. Find out more about us at podknows.co.uk.